Got a few used Bic Lighter mods, and I had a cheap multi-tool. It was a Leatherman Wave knockoff, and I decided to salvage what I could out of it instead of just throwing it away. I thought I'd use it as a kind of a beater tool, but the scissors, they just they had so much play in there, they were like practically useless. And same with the pliers. They wouldn't fold well. It wouldn't and it also had a lot of play in it, and the and being like a really bad Wave knockoff, it also, the handle was just awful. Very uncomfortable in the hand to use. And lots of the other tools were like really bad. The Phillips thing was so rounded. I can hardly even imagine how it could even be functional. But for whatever few tools that were kind of worth saving, in my opinion, I tried to save them, so I kind of refurbished them and tried to make something out of that. And oh, hey, and here's another example of the crystallized pine. Crystallized pine pitch. It's a solid piece. It's a better example of the one I had the other day. I couldn't find this at the time. That's like a really nice piece there. And I guess to start with, I'll go over these. So that was the one. I took the scissors apart and decided to keep half of it, and it's got a nice sharp edge on there. Hey, you can use that as a fire striker or a little cutting tool if you need it. And the other ones I thought were saving were those ones. So a bunch of the flatheads and the kind of the spiky kind of tool. I was going to sharpen the flatheads and get like one or two of them down to a chisel point, but my hand got tired of sanding, so. And of course I don't have a shop right now, or I would have just taken that to the sander and got that nice and sharp. But anyway, it's a nice tool. I think it's, it's like actually pocket size, and it's quite light as well. And so I saved those ones and made something out of it. That's what those ones are. And the other one we're saving, I thought, was the serrated knife, I think they call it. And basically it just opens like that, and I put a little screw in there for the stopper, and like it'll work. It's like a light duty, obviously, right? Just made my own kind of handle. And also a very light. You just kind of carry that around. And that might save you from doing some of the rougher kind of stuff you need to do, and instead of wearing out your good tools, you could just use like a kind of a cheapo for that. So I think it'll serve its purpose that way. And the other one, which I'll have to put that down for a moment. Because the saw on there has the sharp edge, I just made a makeshift kind of a protector on there. It's just with a simple bow tie knot. You can easily undo it and refasten that when you need to. So the same for that. Once again, you know, it's a nice little light duty saw. Instead of beating up your good one, if you just need something quick, the saw's it's decent. You know, it's not as good as the Leatherman or the Victorinox or the other, you know, full size kind of saws, but it's pretty good for light duty kind of stuff. And if you're in a pinch, it does work. You know, I tested it, so the teeth kind of stick up there. That's why I put made a little kind of a makeshift sheath for it. Oh, I'll show you the other side. Just some leftover oak I had lying around. So that's what those are, the refurbished tools. And the used Bic lighters, you know, I've been thinking about this for a while. And I've watched several videos on YouTube, seen other guys do stuff, and I kind of just found some kind of new stuff on my own here. There's lots of videos on YouTube where they show people how to start a fire with when the gas runs out, right? And the flint's still decent. And so that was the idea behind these little emergency, little kind of fire starters. And in there, I used camping foam. So it's a semi waterproof. This was like actually one of the first ones I made. And the other thing too is with these old Bic lighters, when the gas runs out, another reason to save them is, like, you know, they usually have a decent size bit of flint left, right? And if you cut them at the right depth, you can access, you know, the spring and the flint from below and just replace them. And that's what the little screw is in there. It just caps off where the spring and the flint goes back in. Versus trying to replace the flint up here, which is nearly impossible. You know, it might take you, you know, an hour or two or whatever that takes. It's just, it's a huge pain to try to do it that way. And similar to the clipper lighters, you can just access the flint from down there. And I didn't have a proper size screw, but this one works. So, you know, if you happen to have, or you can go buy the perfect size screw, it'll work in there and save your used lighters, and you can save the flint in there. That's the first one I made, and that got me on the idea of trying to figure out more stuff. This one I made, just used a little piece of oak down there, tried to make it a little more presentable. And in there I've got a spare flint left over from another used Bic lighter, and And that'll give you a few sources at starting a fire with just the flint sparks, right? That was that one. And I'll have to put that down for the rest of these. And this one, I dressed up. So nice little birch bark on there. And once again, just a little simple bow tie. Knot on there. Unfasten that. Hands are a bit cold out here. There we go. And what this one is it's the smaller one fits in the larger one. And you've got a little container in there. You can put your fire starting kindling and so forth. And same thing in here. I tapped it off with a little screw down there. And you can save those flints as well. You can easily just replace them from down there. And you might have to cut the spring in there a little bit to fit the right size. But once again, it's a lot easier to replace the flint from down here. So they're worth hanging on to. And I guess I'll show the other part with the other one. Let's put that back in there. And, it's a nice snug fit. And I just ran a piece of a cord in there just to make sure it wouldn't fall out. That's that one. Same thing for that one. This one I decided to use a double, with the small one fitting in to the larger one. And they both have some flint still in there. And the other thing too is you can turn that around. Instead of the sparks flying into here, so most people will remove the guard and stuff here, right, to get more sparks. Well, what you can do is you can just turn that the other way around, and then look at that. You can spark that way, and you've got that whole area for your sparks to fly out. And you can keep the that part on there just for some kind of protective, kind of decorative purposes. So there's another kind of neat idea for these used Bic lighters. So you can turn the wheel to work the other way. And then you've got that whole open area in there. Much easier to try and start your fire that way. There's that one. And this one was the last one I thought of, just kind of last moment thing. You can also make a fire steel holder, case holder for that. And you can tie that off there if you need to. And if you drill the right size hole, it's very quite strong. Didn't budge. It's in there. Back in there. Nice snug fit. Then I decided to put a belt loop in there, or you can attach that to something else somewhere in your gear or your belt. You can easily strap that on. Right? So there's another little nifty idea for these used Bic lighters. You can make a little fire steel case out of that. And one more here is this one. This one was just a container. You can store some stuff in there. Once again, you just put a little screw in there. I can actually show you that part better with this model here. And yes, the Victorinox drivers are much better quality than those cheap ones. And so that's the little that end of the lighter. And if you cut them right, you can get it to fit on top of there. And there, you can store your contents of choice in there, really. I've just got some resin wood in there. Some fire starter material. Put that back in there. And I won't reassemble those while I'm filming here, but so there's a few ideas. There's a few used Bic Lighter Mods. And you know, refurbishing and trying to use the better parts of those cheap tools, which once again, you know, it was like an impulse buy. It was really cheap, you know, less than $20 kind of thing. And lesson learned, it's just don't bother buying those. Get a nice Swiss Army, Victorinox, or a Leatherman, and you know, listen, there are some decent other companies and stuff, not the name brand ones. You know, there are once in a while, occasionally you get, but still, it's just never the same. You know, and the whole kind of other perspective gets talked about. Victorinox versus Leatherman. Hey, listen, they're both good. They're both excellent. I love them both. The Leathermans are a little they're a little stronger, right? They're not, you know, industrial use. They're not heavy use, but they are stronger, and that's what's good about them. So you can actually, you know, they can stand a bit more kind of rougher, kind of harder kind of work. The Victorinox, to me, they're like precision tools, you know, which is why I like to keep good care of it. I don't use a Swiss Army for doing some kind of hacking or kind of, you know, as a beater, you know. They're precision tools, and they're excellent, and they're both good. And they're both excellent, in my opinion. So that's that.